This is a quick tutorial on how to use the Active Lights module. This module allows you to animate certain properties of light, such as their color, radius, and rotation. It can let you make something as simple as a lighthouse beacon or something more complex like a set of police lights. In this video, I'm going to go over how I made each of these 3 demos, and hopefully it will give you enough knowledge to use this module for your own maps. The first thing we're going to do is go over the animation tool. Now we're going to do that by creating a lighthouse beacon. So I will go to the lighting layer, and you'll see that I've already created a nice little torch light here. So what you'll do is you'll go to the light animation tab, and you'll find a new button called Active Light Configuration. This will create a new window. You can close the light config. Now what you'll see in this window are 3 main regions. So you have keyframes, you have the light animation properties, as well as the keyframe properties. So the light animation properties, these are general properties such as making the animation bounce or to provide a time offset for the animation. The first thing you're going to want to do is add a keyframe. So what this will do is it'll add us a keyframe at 1 second. That means that the animation will take exactly 1 second. So at 0 seconds, so the start of the animation, we're going to enable the light rotation angle, and we're going to leave it at 0. Then at 1 second, we are going to also enable the light rotation angle and set it to 360 degrees. This will immediately start animating, and as you can see is moving quite fast. So we'll want to slow that down. So what we'll do is on our final keyframe is we're going to make it 10 seconds. And that will slow that down completely. So now our entire animation starts at the bottom and does a full 360-degree rotation all the way back to the beginning. And that only takes about 10 seconds for it to complete. Once you're satisfied with your animation, you can close the light config, and you can add a tile, such as this tile here. And that tile can just be placed over top of the light source, and it's set as a roof. Now that roof you'll want to adjust to be a roof type for occlusion, and that will block the light. So now you will no longer be able to see the light source in the center, but instead the light will appear to be coming from underneath the roof or out of the lighthouse itself. The next animation we're going to do is the police car. So I've already prepared this map with a bunch of fun lighting around it, and I've added these 2 lights over top of the police car. So as you can see, there's lots of lights all over the place. So we'll just zoom in here. So there's 2 lights very close to each other. The first one is the blue light. I've set the emission angle to 270 degrees and rotated 180 so that it's facing the top. And the red light is the exact same except red and rotated to 0 degrees so that it's facing downwards. We'll start with the blue light, and we'll go to the light animation tab and open up our active light config, and we'll close that window. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a keyframe, and what we want is a very fast animation. So we're going to set this to 125 milliseconds, which is very, very fast. It's about 1/8 of a second. And we'll add an additional keyframe. This one we're going to set at 250 milliseconds, so a quarter of a second. So we'll start here, and we're going to set the bright light radius. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the light essentially pulse in and out very, very quickly. So we'll set this to the default 10, and then on the 0.125 seconds, we'll set that to 0. So right away you see that it's already starting to do this interesting animation. And on 0.25, we'll turn this on, and we'll set that back to the 10. Now what you'll see is that it is going to be pulsing in and out. So we go from 10 feet to 0 and back to 10. Now we'll do the red light. Open up the active config. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll add our 2 additional keyframes, and we'll set their time. 125 milliseconds, 250 milliseconds. But this time we're going to do the opposite. So we want these lights to alternate. So instead of starting at 10 feet, we're going to start at 0. At the 125 millisecond, we're going to actually go out to 10. And then at 250 milliseconds, we'll go back to 0. And just like that, we now have alternating lights. And you can see that as we transition to night. And that's how you make a nice set of police lights. Just kind of adds an extra ambiance to the city map. In this map, we're going to make a series of red security cameras. They're going to be moving back and forth through this environment. So we'll start with the red light here. Go to our light animation. So this is going to be very similar to the Lighthouse, where it's going to be rotating back and forth. So we'll start with adding a keyframe here, and we'll set the light rotation. So given the position here, this is about a 45-degree angle to the left and about a 90-degree angle to the right. So what we'll do is we'll set this to 90 degrees. We're going to do -90. So 0 degrees is facing you straight down, and positive numbers move from clockwise. So by setting it to a negative number, that moves it counterclockwise. As you can see, it's now moving in that direction. And we're going to set the start angle to about a 45-degree. So I'll do a nice sweep across the entire room. But I feel like maybe a little less, maybe 30. Yeah. Now this is obviously going very quickly, so we're going to slow that down to 10 seconds. That does a very nice long sweep. Now, a camera typically doesn't just sweep across and then suddenly start at the start again. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the bounce option. So the bounce basically allows the animation to move forward all the way to its completion. And then what's going to happen is it's going to actually do the animation in reverse all the way back to the start. So we'll turn that on. So you can see it already kind of jumped. So it goes to the start, and it goes all the way to the end, and then it plays the animation in reverse. Alright, now that we have that animation in place, we can just copy that light, and let's say we put one in the hallway here, and maybe another one in this little boardroom here in this corner. So then we're just going to adjust the animations. So for the one in the hallway, it doesn't obviously need us to go all the way to the 30 degrees, so we'll say it goes no less than 0. And the final position is going to be maybe a little less than 90 degrees. Now obviously we don't want this to be fully in sync with the rest of the lights, so we're just going to add a 5-second offset. So what that does is essentially shift the animation so that it will essentially add 5 seconds to the animation, but it won't start 5 seconds later. It's actually just kind of shifting the time frame. So it will start sort of in the middle of this other light's animation. Then we're going to open up this one. Now this one obviously doesn't need the same kind of animation as the first, so we'll set this to maybe a 10 degrees. So that should end right around here somewhere. Oh, negative 10 degrees. Oh, yeah, maybe a little less. That should be good. And then for this one, we're just going to stop it at around 85 degrees. That should do a nice full scan of the entire room. And we're going to maybe speed this up just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Oop. I want to speed it up, not slow it down. There we go. So that'll do about 8 seconds. And then we're going to also add maybe a 4-second offset. But that will get you your nice little security lights. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and I look forward to seeing what people make with it. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or reach out on the project GitHub. I can also be reached on Discord, and I try to stay active in the Foundry Discord server. Thanks.